DevOps is complex. It's often famously referred to the trilogy of tools, process, people. What does that mean? Global DevOps tools market growing from 6.7 billion in 2020 to 58 billion by 2030. Process: ITIL, Agile, Less, Scale Agile, Spotify, and several other architectures. People: change management, restructuring, upskilling, adoption, and all of this at massive scale.
So how do you continuously learn all this new tech without getting overwhelmed? Let's get into it. The approach that I've used over the years to continually stay updated is called KSM Methodology: knowledge, skill, and mastery. Here's what it means. You can at best master one or two areas in your entire lifetime. You can learn a bunch of new skills, and you should have a knowledge of each and everything related to your entire field and more. The key to this methodology is to learn which one of knowledge, skill, or mastery to apply where. The most common mistake people make is to go for mastery everywhere, where all you need is skills in that particular area. Let me explain. Knowledge. I like to call this the 30,000 feet view. It's when you need to know enough of something. You need to understand the fundamentals, the use cases, and the benefits. For example, if you want to travel from London Paddington to Buckingham Palace, you have a couple of options. You can take the car, you can take the train, you can walk, or you can cycle. Once you decide the mode of transportation, there are a couple of routes you can take. Deciding this and figuring all this out is called knowledge. Let's talk about skill. I like to call this the 10,000 feet view. In our travel example, once you've chosen the route, then you need to know the exact steps to go. How much to travel in which direction, from where to take a left or a right, things like that. The exact roadmap. That's skill. In our technology example, if your team has started looking at Docker seriously, it's time for you to start looking at some YouTube videos, maybe do a course on Udemy or Skillshare or equivalent. Once you have a basic understanding, build a small Docker image, get familiar with the internals, build your skills around that. Let's talk about mastery. This is what I like to call the street view. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you need to know all the intricacies of a subject. In our travel example, you need to be familiar with the facades along the way, what monuments you will cross, how's the traffic looking like, what are the roadblocks that can happen, how do you divert those roadblocks, stuff like that. It's knowing the shit out of your subject. In our technology example, you've implemented Docker for your project. You've looked at the best practices, you've seen what's working out there, and you've adapted that in your organization. That's great. That's mastery. The trick: don't stop here. Start thinking about how you will use Docker at scale once you have hundreds and thousands of containers. This is called forward thinking, and this is exactly what separates the followers from the leaders. Now that we understand the KSM methodology, let's dig deeper on how do you actually start acquiring a new skill. What's the most effective way to learn something really complex? At this point, I'm personally learning a new skill, video editing, as you can imagine. I will discuss 5 strategies that I'm using right now to develop mastery over video editing. You can use these same 5 strategies to learn something as technical as Kubernetes or Ansible or Jenkins or even video editing. The way you learn one thing is the way you learn everything. Number 1, start with the big picture. What is video editing? Where does video editing fit in the overall video production process? What can be done in video editing and what cannot be done in video editing? Who edits the best videos on YouTube? Which editing style do I most relate with? Who's my inspiration? Now, if you're learning Docker, replace video editing with Docker in this example, and let's see how it works. What is editing a Docker file? Where does Docker fit in the overall software development lifecycle? What can be done in Docker? What cannot be done in Docker? Which organization has the best Docker implementation? Which developer do I most resonate with in terms of writing the Docker image? You get the drift. Number 2, learn the lingo. Every new concept that you're learning has a definite language of its own, has some keywords of its own. And it's very important to learn that before you can even begin to understand the literature in that subject. Let me give you some examples from video editing. B-roll. It's the additional footage like this inserted over the main recording of me talking as a video head. Transitions like this one or this one. Lower thirds like this one, what you see on the screen here. A pan, a color grade, a chroma key, a layer, a montage, and so many more. When you're learning Docker, learn about the lingo of Docker. Container, Docker, Docker desktop, Docker hub, Docker file, Docker image, layers, namespace, registry, so on and so forth. Number 3, pick a tool. I said pick a tool. I did not say analyze a tool. I did not say investigate a tool. Why is that? Because there are a ton of tool set options available for everything under the sun today. And fundamentally, most of the tools do kind of similar jobs, more or less. Do not agonize over picking a tool. Pick out some basic general 2 or 3 decision criterias. Pick one tool, start. For my video editing, I picked up Final Cut Pro. 3 reasons for that. It's native to Mac. I live, breathe in the Mac ecosystem. It supports the great ecosystem of Mac, of course. It's very easy to work with. And I'm not an expert in the Adobe system anyways. It's the process of elimination. If not Adobe, then what? Help me finalize on Final Cut Pro from Mac. Number 4, do the thing. Start now. You've got the basic knowledge, you've got the high level theoretical skill, build the MVP, get the first video out, write the first program, create the first virtual machine, code the first microservice, get shit done. Number 5, dig deeper as required. Do not try to learn the theory of everything on your subject and only then apply it. Learn, apply. Learn, apply. In that order. For example, in one of my previous videos, I shot a B-roll from an iPhone. When imported into Final Cut Pro, this is how it looked like. On the iPhone, it was perfect. What I realized, somehow the footage which is imported from iPhone is getting overexposed. Problem statement? Figured out the solution. Had to use a plugin in Final Cut Pro to fix this. Here is how the clip looked once I fixed it. Got a problem? Dug deeper, fixed it. In another video, I had to blur a part of my screen. I had to blur my monitor because it had some work-related stuff which I couldn't show. Found a problem, did the research, implemented it, boom, skill acquired. I'm sure there are still a zillion video editing techniques out there that I've not known yet. I will search for them when I need them. Not today. Not required. On the Docker front, you will need to use a bunch of Docker images as you start building complex use cases. Search for it when you need it and apply them. Bonus tip. The secret to making the 5 tips work. As the famous shampoo algorithm goes, lather, rinse, repeat. What does that mean? In my case, in video editing, I will keep churning out one video every 10 days. I will keep getting better with video editing with each single video. That's the only way to do it. Keep chugging at what you're doing, set up a frequency and say, I will keep releasing one MVP of the bigger product that I'm building every single week. I will solve one use case every 3 weeks. Keep working at it and you will get better every single time. Okay, let's wrap up things now. Take out a notebook and make your own list in the knowledge, skill, and mastery category. What are the things that you need to have knowledge of? What are the skills that you want to acquire? And what is the one area that you want to get mastery over? That's your continuous upskill plan right there. Let me know in the comments if the KSM methodology helped you and if you've created your continuous upskill plan yet. Hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.